This chick, don't know who this chick is. She's got quite a bit of subscribers. She's pretty. I like her hair. Why I only play old games. She's got me a little bit distracted.
You ever just wanna...
Yeah. All the time.
Or even...
All of those.
Because
well, maybe not World of Warcraft.
All the time. The truth is, I haven't been excited about a new release for a very long time. The last new game that I was really anticipating would have been like Outlast Trials or the anniversary edition of Beyond Good and Evil, a game which came out in 2003 by the way, and even that I was anticipating with caution because, you know, it is Ubisoft and nobody wants to see their favorite game ruined. When I have spare
nobody wants to see it remade for modern audiences.
Time, when I want to chill and just immerse myself in a different world, I go for games that are like 20 years old or somewhere around that. If you watched my channel at all, you will know that I'm somebody that appreciates...
I am literally playing a game that is 30 years old right now on stream. Well, kinda. It's the remake of a 30-year-old game. And I'm gonna be playing those games, which are all old, for a while. And even the other game that I'm wanting to play is kind of old.
The finer details in games. I really love worlds that feel alive, eccentric characters, cozy environments. I like beautiful things like art, and of course, my favorite, I like clothing and accessories. More and more I'm finding that modern games have nothing to offer me, and I do want to preface this by saying that this is strictly my opinion, but you know, you would think that with the technology that we have now, all of those things that I mentioned earlier could be improved upon tenfold, but alas we are given bland worlds, sometimes a lecture in politics, and the erasure of femininity in gaming. The last point in particular is something that I, as a female gamer, really hate to see.
I really hate to see ugly people in my games when they could be pretty. And it's not even like, they don't have to be 10 out of 10, man. But they're making them 6s because it's realistic. But games, I'm tired of everything being realistic. I want unrealistic. I don't want to be me. I want to be somebody else. It's escapism, damn it. I want to be something cooler than real life.
Because in the industry's attempt to become more inclusive and conscious of the issues that women deal with when it comes to depictions in media, they've actually gone and made femininity inherently evil and sexualized. Through different companies' actions, we're being shown that beauty and beautiful women have no space in modern gaming, that they're just too much. Aside from that, their portrayal of what it means to be a strong woman suggests that we need to be able to physically overpower our male opponents. The greatest example of this for me is Abby from The Last of Us 2, who is not only the least relatable female protagonist I've seen in like any game ever.
She reminds me of, what's his name? From the main character of Bully. I don't remember his name. But she looks like him, but like a 4K enhanced version of him.
Who is not only the least relatable female protagonist I've seen in like any game ever, she's also said to be extremely unlikable from the start for what she does to our beloved Joel. The game tries its best to make you sympathize with her by telling you her part of the story, but the combination of her unrealistic...
Her arms look like my arms. Like, exactly like my arms. She has the same body as me. It's weird.
build and her actions throughout the game just make me resent her. And yes, it is an unrealistic build. I'm sorry, but we are in a post-apocalyptic world. Even if she did have access to like top-of-the-line gym equipment in her commune, I doubt that they could ration enough greens and protein for her meal prep to allow her enough time to even get close to that physique. You would need some post-apocalyptic steroids, which sets an unhealthy standard, by the way, to make it make sense. But no, the industry thinks I'm an idiot because I'm supposed to say, oh, great, a strong woman, because there's nothing other than huge muscular arms that could mean a strong woman. Going back to an old game, I'll compare Abby to Jade from Beyond Good and Evil. Now, this game originally came out in 2003, and the protagonist is actually more of a tomboy, but she's still very charming, and the game encourages you to find ways other than physical fighting to progress. It has great stealth, she is brave, she wants to expose her government for their evil doings, just a very likable character and someone that you could root for. She looks pretty and somehow is in no way sexualized. Weird that they could do that, right? Speaking of unlikable characters, let's talk about Concord. Aside from the fact that none of the characters are appealing in any way, and I do mean male or female, they're also just poorly designed. There is no personality to them, no depth, nothing that would inspire me to, I don't know, want to cosplay them, for example. And I mean, half of them look like they're a ripoff of something that already exists. Sindel from Mortal Kombat has certainly seen better days. You compare these to heroes from other hero shooters, even the free-to-play ones, and you can see that there's a massive difference. Like,
they're definitely trying to ride that Overwatch vibe, and Overwatch, isn't it free to play? Fortnite, it reminds me of Fortnite, Overwatch, all these games. Just all thrown into one. That's what Concord was, and everybody could see it. They were just taking all of everything that they were looking at the games and like, this is what looks like it's popular, and we're gonna put it in our game, make our game look like the other popular games.
These are beloved characters. People have cosplayed these, you know, they're memorable. People that haven't even played the games know who they are and would likely know them by name as well. Whereas Concord's heroes are at best like 800 V-Bucks Fortnite skins. And you know what? Even Fortnite skins have more personality than what they've created here. We know by now that when something like this gets any sort of criticism, the industry will tell you that it doesn't matter because it's the opinion of straight men, so it doesn't count. Which, by the way, great job ignoring and vilifying like a huge chunk of your audience. However, when I as a woman express my opinions and say that I don't like it, I explain the issues that I have with it, I will be told that I'm just being a pick-me girl, pandering to the men that don't like it. Give me a break. A dragon break. You're telling me straight up that a woman is incapable of coming to that conclusion on her own without men telling her that that is the way. You know what they call that? So yeah, instead of arguing with you and getting called a talentless freak, actual quote from Concord developer, I'm just gonna go and create a new Minecraft world. So as I have said, beautiful women in gaming seem to be an absolute no.
What in the hell? Okay. I've seen the Fables, Fable. I've seen the Fable picture. It didn't look that bad last time I looked at it. But man, does it look bad. It's like they took a normal looking person and made it look uglier than the person that it was portraying. Same with, what's her name here? I played this game recently from Horizon. She had a really dumb name.
No-go nowadays, and we see this in the new Star Wars Outlaws. It feels like the developers literally went out of their way to diminish this character's looks, especially when you compare her to her face model. Like, they really did her dirty. And in their attempt to make this character less attractive, I actually think that they made her look not human. People don't look like that. Of course, the game is currently receiving backlash for a lot of other things, mainly how it feels so unfinished and broken, but aside from how she looks, it's also the
they're always unfinished and broken, like all of them. And people still buy them and play them. I know a lot of people that bought that game and still own it and never play it. And then a couple of them still say it's good. And I'm like, bro, are you insane? You're just lying. You're just lying at this point to cope. You're coping because you paid too much money for a game that you don't want to play.
The fact that developers are held to these quotas at all. So they were, quote, pushing for a black or female lead in a Star Wars game. Now, what this tells me is that the character and the story don't matter as much as their identity. So this is why we're no longer getting well-written and actually interesting, strong female leads in games. Women have become a box that needs to be checked. We can sort of see this in the kind of criticism that games that go against the current are receiving as well.
I mean, it's not just women it needs to be a box. Literally every step of the way, it's just boxes getting checked.
Like Black Myth Wukong. An issue that some reviewer had was that they didn't come across any female characters in the beginning of the game. Now, there are female characters in Wukong, but if you don't meet them straight away, that is bad for some reason. We're not letting developers tell a story how they want to tell it, how it's meant to be told. We need to dictate how they're telling these stories so that they'll fit our standards. In the year 2000, 24 years ago, Diablo 2 came out. Now this was years before we had any of these new ideas and standards. The game's opening act centers around the women who were forced to leave their monastery because of the Demon Queen and Dario. These women are warriors themselves, or rogues, perfectly capable of holding their own, but they do seek the hero's help, which can be male or female depending on your class, as they are being overrun by their corrupted sisters. The first mini-boss is a callback to one of the main classes in Diablo 1, then we have the Countess, which is a really clever historical reference to Elizabeth Bathory, or one of the
Man, I need to go back and play Diablo 2. It's been so long. I think I was 12 when I played Diablo 2 last. That was 16 years ago? No. Yes. Damn. Was 14. 14? $20. How old am I?
The most prolific female serial killers of all time. Now, this fits the world perfectly, and above all, it's just great for Act 1. Finally, you face my favorite boss in the game, Andariel, the Maiden of Anguish. I go back to Diablo 2 all the time because it feels like you're actually part of like a really dark and interesting story. None of it feels forced. The characters don't appear to have been added for the sake of any quotas or checked boxes, and it's all very natural and organic. I know in the past there were of course games that had, say, over-the-top depictions with female characters, and an example that is often brought up is Mortal Kombat 9. But the thing about this is, everything in Mortal Kombat was historically over the top. Like, we're talking literally pulling someone's spine out or feeding their spleen back to them. I don't know, I made that one up, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was real. Like, a whole rating system had to be created because of these games. So, really, I don't know if I would see it as like a valid complaint. Like, it's there, I get it, but also, it is what it is. However, in the modern industry, we're sort of going in the complete opposite direction, and it's
Man, I like those Mortal Kombat characters. Mortal Kombat Armageddon is my favorite one, and it's the best one in my opinion still. Second best one was just the one that was called Mortal Kombat. That one was great.
Honestly doing more harm than good. Truthfully, and this is coming from a female gamer who is supposedly the audience for these new games, I would much rather watch paint dry than pay for this shit. Or level a warrior to 60 in WoW Classic, which is effectively the same thing. The main content on my channel has been centered around Elder Scrolls games, mainly Morrowind and Oblivion, which are both almost 2 decades old, and in 2024 I was able to grow a channel from 0 to where we are now, because I am not the only person who is so stuck on these old games. I've gone over my personal feelings and reasons why I feel like modern gaming has just forgotten about people like me, in the name of supposedly including me more, but different people have different reasons for sticking to the beloved classics. A recent controversy, which most of you have probably heard of, was the showcase of an Assassin's Creed game that is based in Japan. We have Japanese gamers coming out and saying that they don't get it. It's offensive. There's a petition out there to cancel the release of this game in Japan. And why? Because the game's protagonist is a foreigner that gets to whoop Japanese people up and down the block. Tell me why, in Assassin's Creed 2, we have an Italian protagonist in Italy, we have a Native American guy in America in Assassin's Creed 3, we have a French protagonist in France. Why could we not have a Japanese protagonist in Japan?
Well, she knows the answer. She already knows the answer. You know the answer. We all know it.
Gamers don't relate to this at all, and some of them have even highlighted other inaccuracies in the game which are disrespectful to their culture and their country, shows a huge lack of research from the developer side, but I guess their opinion doesn't matter because probably a straight man told them to think that way. I feel like it's a real shame that there's this awkwardness, or it can be seen as controversial to express these opinions, because if we're not going to get to talk about this, we are forever going to continue having this huge rift between gamers and developers, many failed projects in the future, lots of people losing their jobs over said failed projects. This brings me to the Elder Scrolls 6. I'm at a point where I don't know if I even want them to go there anymore, because by today's standards there is just so much that could go wrong. A few months ago I came across this really spicy hot take that said this.
Skyrim, the game by Bethesda, is a pro-colonization narrative and is racist.
Now, I did a full response to that video on my TikTok account when it came out, so I will leave it in the description of this video if you want to see that, but in short, I said the depiction does not equal endorsement. I'm seeing that we're starting to have a real problem with media literacy, like it's non-existent. So just because a particular topic is discussed in any piece of media, it is suddenly endorsed, it is shown as a good thing, according to these people. This girl gave many examples of depictions of race.
That's a good way to show that you have not actually played it, and you've just kind of ran through the controls and just kind of ran around and did stuff and then quit. And just maybe watched some videos on it. You got the general vibe of it, and you didn't really play it. Is because you think that all the people in here are good? No, none of them are. None of the people are good. Not a single one. You're not good as the player. There's not a single good character in those games. Everyone is bad.
Racism in Skyrim, like where you can see the Nords ganging up on a dark elf in Windhelm.
Bunch of murderers. They're all a bunch of murderers. They're all killing each other, eating each other, stabbing each other in the back.
And harassing her, referring to her race as the Greyskins, which is an attempt at a slur. But lest we forget, ladies and gentlemen, that the Dark Elves of Morrowind are not too fond of Outlanders themselves, or Enwas, as they call them. You see, Skyrim is an already incredibly diluted game when it comes to—
Well, let me tell you, I wouldn't like cat people either.
Heavy and difficult topics compared to its predecessors. Like, I'm pretty sure that regardless of your race in the game, you may see slight dialogue differences, but you'll still have equal
Don't get me started on the lizard people.
Opportunities for progression throughout the game. It doesn't really change your journey much, whereas in Morrowind, based on your race, you'll actually have a different disposition with different races. So I guess you can call that racism built into the game, but it's just a realistic depiction of how different peoples would react to Outlanders in their homeland.
Honestly, I wish it was a little bit more racist. I wish they were like cracking jokes all the time, like have them working together and be a couple of them are just cracking hateful racist jokes at each other. We don't get enough of that, and that's what would happen in real life when you get people of different races together doing tasks.
Not only that, Morrowind deals with the very heavy topic of slavery. The player, while having the option to free slaves, can just as easily not help, and in some cases make things worse. In Skyrim, there really isn't an action that you can take that compares to that. In fact, the way in which these racist encounters are presented are meant to make you feel sorry for the person being harassed and not the other way around. So if Skyrim, as I've said, is already a more diluted version of events, and is still causing such a stir with these people,
I wish I could just take them for myself and take them back to, what's it called? The Hearthstone or wherever. Hearthfire? My lake house. Take them back to my lake house and have some slaves.
what can we expect from the next installment of the Elder Scrolls? Because unfortunately, these are the kind of people that are being listened to. Should we expect anything? Aren't we better off just replaying Oblivion for the billionth time instead of expecting like a complex and interesting story to come out of the next game? I'm also worried about the incessant attempts at monetization after you've already purchased a game, or if you're paying some sort of subscription. How are they going to implement their store into the game? I don't know about anyone else, but when I go into a game and I scroll to a page in the title screen where I'm seeing euro signs everywhere, it just takes me out of it. Not to mention
that is like one of the worst things. That's why I play a lot of old games, is because of stores. If there is a store in your game, I'm probably not going to play it. I really don't even want to play Path of Exile because there's a store in it, even though it's free. I'm just really not into free games either. I like to pay for my games, and I like for there to not be a store in it at all. For any reason. Quit trying to sell me things that I want to buy. I don't want to buy them though.
Mention how some companies just take it way too far. Like Blizzard's greed in adding the level 60 boost to TBC Classic ruined TBC for me and for many others. Now, I know Elder Scrolls 6 isn't going to be an MMO, but they will likely try to continue monetizing the game long after you've purchased it, and I don't mean overpriced DLC. If the next Elder Scrolls game is just gonna give our beloved franchise a bad name, honestly, I'd rather not have it at all. Keep it a mystery, and I'll just keep playing my old games. And that's it. This is me coming back after 2 months with my boomer
I'll wait until there's mods to take all that crap out of it.
takes. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do apologize for being gone for so long. I couldn't have predicted it this time around, but I'm hopefully here to stay right now. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, leave me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Be seeing you. Bye!
I like this chick. This chick's awesome. Yeah, right now, for the foreseeable future, I'm playing old games. And maybe in 3 years, I'll play Baldur's Gate 3 and finally beat it like I want to. I'll play through it one time, but I want to actually beat it. And I gotta get through all these old games first, and I don't see any new games coming out anytime. Civilization 7. But other than that, I don't see any new games coming out that I actually want to play. There are probably some. You'll have to remind me down there in the comments. Give her a like and a subscribe.